Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today is going to be a very exciting video for both of us because if you've clicked on this video, that probably means that you are looking to learn how to say the Islamic greeting. This could mean that you are coming back to practice Islam, or you've recently converted to the religion and you would like to learn how to say this greeting, but also how to respond to it. So if you're going to watch this video with me, I want you to make one agreement with me, is that you are not going to let this overwhelm you. This is a blessing that we have as Muslims, that we can greet each other in such a beautiful way. And like that, I don't want it to be a source of stress or anxiety for you. So yeah, of course, when you first become Muslim, you find it overwhelming. You think, well, how am I ever going to say this? It's very confusing. It sounds like gibberish to me. That's normal. But the thing is, this is a blessing that we have as Muslims, and it's something that we want to celebrate and embrace. So what we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to say and respond to this greeting word by word. So this greeting can be said in three ways: in the short, medium, and long version. So most of us will just say Assalamu Alaykum, peace be upon you. But as you can see on the screen now, we can also extend that greeting and say Assalamu Alaykum wa rahmatullah, which would mean peace be upon you and the mercy of Allah. And finally, we can also extend it even longer into the longest form of the greeting and say Assalamu Alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, peace be upon you and the mercy of Allah and His blessings. So God willing, today you and I are going to learn how to say the short, medium, and long form of this greeting, as well as how to respond to it. And like I said, if you're going into this video with me, you're not going to let this overwhelm you. Let this be a source of enjoyment, of excitement, something that you just simply need to work on. You will get it, and you will need to practice it. And the more you practice, the more you get feedback from the people that you speak with. It would just become natural for you. But if you're in a situation, for example, where you've not even been to a mosque yet, you've not spoken to a Muslim, of course it's going to be overwhelming. You want to make sure, am I saying it right? Am I making any mistakes? Am I conveying the correct meaning? And that's all fine. So what we'll do is, at the end of this video, after we've gone through word by word how to say the greeting, we'll try to role play a section where we can practice, and you can practice along with me. And if you're able to learn this in one video, then that's fantastic. But if not, just come back and rewatch the video as and when you feel you need to. So we're going to start off first with the greeting itself. Assalamu Alaykum. Assalamu Alaykum, which means peace be upon you. So let's break it down syllable by syllable. So first we have Assa. Assa. So you hold on this 2S sound a little bit longer. So we'll make a line like this. Assa. 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 Then we have Lamu. Lamu. Okay? So sometimes people don't pronounce the U at the end, and they just say Assalam Alaykum. But because we're beginners, we want to learn how to say the full greeting properly. Assalamu Alaykum. Assalamu. Assalamu. And then we have here this word in Arabic, Alaykum. 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 So the beginning letter of this word sounds like this. Ah. Ah. Sounds slightly different from a. A. Ah. Alaykum. Alaykum. Rather than alaykum. Alaykum. So this is something that you're just going to have to practice and try to imitate as best as you can. Alaykum. Alaykum. Sounds different from alaykum. Alaykum. So to say the whole phrase, we say Assalamu Alaykum. Assalamu Alaykum. So now that we've tackled that, let's move on to how to respond. So here we have on the screen here, Assalamu Alaykum, peace be upon you. And then we have Wa Alaykum Assalam. Wa Alaykum Assalam, and peace be upon you. You're basically saying the same thing, but almost in reverse. So instead of saying Assalamu Alaykum, you're saying Wa Alaykum Assalam. Okay, so the wa here means and. So it's just simple wa. Wa. And then you're saying the phrase essentially backwards. So you're saying now Alaykum, but the only difference is we're adding the u. We're saying Alaykumu. Alaykumu. And then we join this mu to the S sound. So how we said before, Assalamu, Assalamu. We kind of held on the S for a tiny second. Instead of saying Assalamu, you say Assalamu. Assalamu. Now we're saying Mussalam. Alaykumussalam. Wa alaykumussalam. Wa alaykumussalam. So before we said Assalamu alaykum. Now we're saying wa alaykumu salam. Wa alaykumussalam. Wa alaykumussalam. So at this point, if this is the first time that you've heard this, you may want to just practice up until this point. Because now we're going to jump into the deep end and we're going to start adding on some extra words. So let's move on to how to say the medium length greeting. So it's exactly the same as before. Assalamu alaykum. Assalamu alaykum. And now we're saying wa, which is again and. Rahmatullah. Rahmatullah. Wa rahmatullah. So let's just focus on this, which means the mercy of God. So wa is easy. Hopefully you guys can get that by now. It's just wa. Okay? So we're saying Assalamu alaykum wa. And then we just need to say rahmatullah. 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 So you can hear right at the end we're saying la. So one thing to know about is we're making this A sound instead of sounding like a, like rahmatullah. We're saying rahmatullah. La. And then we're also trying to pronounce this H sound, which can be quite tricky. So if I was to not pronounce the H sound, it would sound like this. Wa rahmatullah. Wa rahmatullah. So I'm going to do some different Arabic vowels and we're going to add them to the H sound, just to demonstrate how it sounds. Ah. I. Ooh. So if I was to say them without the H, it would sound like this. A, I, U. Instead of just saying a, we're saying ah, I, U. So this is the easiest way that I can think of trying to communicate this to you over a video. Ah, I, U. So in this case, we're saying wa rahmatullah. Wa rahmatullah. And also, one thing to mention is instead of saying ra, we're not saying it like that. We're saying ra, rahma. A lot of people say rahma. So try your best to mimic the accent in saying rahmatullah. Rahmatullah. How should we respond to this? So what we just said was peace be upon you and the mercy of Allah. So now we're going to say, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of Allah. So we're just adding on to the previous response. So before we said, wa alaykumussalam. Now we're going to say, wa rahmatullah. So that's basically exactly the same thing that we just added before. So when we said, Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah, now we just need to remember how to respond to the beginning part, which is, wa alaykumussalam, and we just add on wa rahmatullah. Wa alaykumussalam wa rahmatullah. So let's move on to the final longest form of this greeting, which means peace be upon you and the mercy of Allah and his blessings. So if you've got the first part down, Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah, all we need to do is just add on this bit, wa barakatuh. Wa, which again is just and his blessings. Okay, so wa barakatuh. 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 So how do we say this? We say Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So if you've noticed that we've added something slightly different, is this part here. So before we said Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah, and now we're going to add this I, which is just here. Rahmatullahi, rahmatullahi, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So all that's been added is the I sound, rahmatullahi, and then we're saying wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And again, we're not saying barakatuh. We're trying to add that H sound to the end of it. Barakatuh. Tuh. Instead of just two. Barakatuh. 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 Okay? And now, if you've come this far, then we can graduate on to how to respond. So this is the full Islamic greeting in the best way that we can say it. And we would respond by saying, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of Allah and His blessings. So if someone says to you, Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, then we would like to respond by saying, wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So it's basically the same thing. The only thing that you really need to learn in terms of how to respond is when someone says Assalamu alaykum, you say wa alaykum assalam, wa alaykum assalam. So to go over it one more time, Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We respond by saying wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So if we've come this far, what I would like to do with you is I would like to just do a quick role play where I say to you the greeting and you respond and try to match the greeting. So ideally what we want to do is we want to either match the greeting, i.e. Assalamu alaykum wa alaykum assalam, or Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah. We want to respond wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. And for the final one, Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We would ideally like to respond by saying wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You might be questioning to yourself, when should I say short, medium, long? That's up to you. So if you're greeting somebody, if you want the most amount of rewards for both you and them, then you say the longest form. But if you just want to say Assalamu alaykum, then you can just go ahead and do that. So let's do it like this. I'm going to say the greeting. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to respond, and then I'm going to say the response. And we'll go through all three of them. Ready? Assalamu alaykum. Wa alaykum assalam. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah. Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I wanted to add some bonuses to the end of this video. So I just wanted to go through and explain how to say the ending on every single word, and then also explain that we don't have to say the ending on every single word. So to say it with all of the endings, it sounds like this. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi وبركاته وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. We can say it without any endings. Assalam alaykum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. And finally, we can also say Salamun alaykum. We can also say Salam alaykum.